I'm ready for chit-chatting, you guys, if you guys are. All right, let me have a sip of tea. By the way, my tea, hibiscus. Oh, that is delicious. Limeade? I usually put lemon in it. Oh, I know what you mean. I made hibiscus lemonade. You know how I made it? Okay, so I took a lot of hibiscus and like simmered it on the stove in water, not a lot of water because you want to make it very concentrated. So I let it simmer on the stove, and then when it cools off a little bit, I put a lot of honey in it, make it really, really sweet. And then I strain it. And of course, I put it in the refrigerator. And then I take 2 cubes of frozen lemon juice. I pour a little bit of that hibiscus, and that's why it has to be very, very sweet already, so then it kind of counters the tartness of the lemon. And then I put sparkling water. Whew, my God, addictive. Hey, Donna, I'm doing good. I just finished reading 3 chapters. May, you know what? I'll tell you something. I have this thing about me. I have been extremely responsible and extremely accountable my entire life. And I have gone above and beyond in every situation I've ever been in, from business, from personal relationships, from every aspect of my life. And then I realized that I don't want to do that anymore. I just want to play. I don't want to be tied to a time. I don't want to be tied to a commitment. I don't want to be tied to anything. I just want to go with the flow. So to answer your question, I have no idea. Like yesterday, for example, I said I was going to go live at 9. I went live at 8:08. I liked that number and I pushed play. So that's the thing. I'm kind of like a moving target. But the good news is that I post all my lives on YouTube. So you're not missing anything. Oh, is it nice for you guys to be here and participate and give me hearts and tell me where you come from and asking me questions? Because as you know, I like to talk and I like to, for us to exchange ideas and, just talk about my own spiritual journey into awakening. But at the same time, I really don't want to burden myself in any way. I reached a place of so much surrender to what is and so much love for myself that I just want to go with the flow. I want to treat myself like I am my best friend. So I let myself dictate when we come out and play. But we do come out to play. Your post, the 8 Truth Bound, can share the reading I honestly can share that reading that last night saved my life. Carrie, thank you so much. I'll tell you what, which one was it that triggered you the most? Triggered you in a positive way, I'm sure. Let me know, Carrie. Oh, thank you so much for telling me this. I tell you what, I take screenshots sometimes of your messages, you guys, and I post them. You can see. I mean, I literally cry when I read these messages. It's okay, Donna. I will post it on YouTube. I've already posted the first night. The first 3 chapters are already posted on YouTube. Don't worry about it. You're here for the chat. That's, I'm grateful I found you. Thank you so much, Samarie. All 8, yes. Okay, well, Carrie, listen to this. There are 8 more. I actually pinned them right now. And there are actually 15 more. And somehow something happened to my TikTok and my pinned posts disappeared. So I had to repin 3 other ones in there. But there's another one that happens sometimes in January. That's actually the video that got me viral. Because I only had in January of 30th, I had 2,000 followers. And again, I'm not after followers. That's not my mission here on TikTok. I'm not, but I do like to see you guys, the transformation that I see in you. I'm telling you, I cry. I literally cry every day when I read your messages. So that has 15 of them, 15 truth, like about the matrix and stuff. So really eye-opening. Yep. Thank you, Donna. I read it 10 times and sobbed for hours. Oh, I love it. I know. Today was a crying day for me too. My God, I've had some massive breakthroughs, massive breakthroughs. Wow. Just massive. All of the stuff lately, because I have been in a tunnel. I have been in a tunnel actually since January, because there's so many interesting things that happened in my life since January, plus going to be with my mother for 3 months. And then I had this massive, massive ego. I'm going to call it dissolution, let's say, the ego temper tantrum dissolution, because you don't dissolve your ego, but oh my goodness, I had that about, I would say about at the end of maybe middle of October. Yeah, about a month ago, exactly a month ago. Everything shifted for me. And today it was like one of these, everything just settled in, and there's so much serenity and so much peace and so much freedom, freedom, freedom. That's what it is. So yeah, I've been crying today. Oh, tears of joy. Like, oh my God, like so much validation that I've given myself through all of these things. Crazy and rewarding journey right now, but I love it. Samarie, keep going, girl. Go, we're all going through the valley of shadow and fear no evil. This is it. This is it. Just go through the valley of shadow and fear no evil, because there is no evil. So, you got this. You got this. And ask questions. Like, I mean, you can ask people, you can ask anyone you feel like asking, but ask yourself the questions, because they will come from within. Are many humans of the Pleiadian and Arcturian lineage like family? I feel I'm of the Arcturian. Pure heart. Okay, so if you feel you're Arcturian, you are Arcturian. Because you wouldn't feel it if you wouldn't be. Because you are that which you vibrate. And if I vibrate Arcturian, you are Arcturians. That's it. I mean, not everybody is Arcturian, because that's not what they vibrate at. They may vibrate as Pleiadians, they may vibrate as Andromedans, as whatever. Everybody has different codes. I mean, we all have the entire algorithm within us. But because we come in to express ourselves differently on this planet, each one of us has different things that pertain to their individual frequency. So yeah, if you feel Arcturian, you are my sister. Thank you. Thank you, Carrie. I really appreciate you. Thank you for saying it. Oh, I know what you mean, Carrie. 8-hour work training. Walked out, got in my car, and just sobbed for an hour. God. Yeah, I cried here. I cried in the living room. I went on a walk. I cried in the walk. And when I cry, like literally because I journal. So I cry when I journal. Lately, for some reason, I've been journaling on my phone and in my notes. I have thousands of notes in my phone, and this is how I write too. A lot of it of my writing, because it's automated writing, and for some reason when I type on my phone, it's like it's automatic. It comes just through, and I would be sitting there typing, and I would go, oh, like really ugly crying. I'd be like, oh. So yeah, it's so good. Ugly crying is so good. I want to live that free life, but I haven't figured out how to finance it. Jessica, stop figuring it out, because it's all figured out for you. All you have to do is to live in complete surrender to the divine guidance. But that means that you have to heal yourself of all fears, all limiting beliefs, all childhood traumas. Because when you are still under all of these negative emotions, they create an energetic interference with your light. So it's like this: you are light, you are a divine being, but you can't see it. Now, the way to see it is when your third eye opens and it looks inwards and you're actually seeing the light. It doesn't normally, you cannot normally see it because your baggage of beliefs, your belief system, whatever you hold in your memory, in your mind, in your as traumas, as fears, as limitation, whatever you hold within you as an aspect of your character that you playing, yeah, your ego, not in a negative way, because you don't have to be egotistical to call yourself ego. Ego is everything that is related to our physical existence. So because you attach to these things, you can't see. They act as filters between your third eye and your light. Once you awaken to this truth and once you heal yourself, what you will start seeing is tremendous synchronicities happening in your life. And then all you have to do is to visualize what is it that you desire. And by the way, I highly recommend not to visualize money, not to visualize houses, not to visualize cars. No, you visualize experiences, because it is the feeling that brings towards us what we desire. So in other words, if you want financial abundance, journal, write down in a notebook, what does financial abundance means to me? It's not $100,000 in the bank. It's not $1 million in the bank. That doesn't mean anything. What would it mean to you to be financially free? Would I travel? Would I build something? Would I go and enjoy myself with the family? We would be hanging around by a lake with all the family, running in jet skis and all that stuff. Like, this is the kind of stuff that you have to feel it. You have to feel it. And you have to feel the gratitude of being already there. So whenever you want to bring something into your life, whatever you want to co-create into your life, you're not really bringing it in. All you're doing is you vibrating at the frequency of the desire. Because we exist in an infinity of realities simultaneously, right? There are no past lives, there are no future lives. It's just here and now. But all of these other lives that you hear about, past lives and all that, they're actually an infinity of versions of ourselves that that exist simultaneously. The only distance, the only difference between where we are and where we want to be is frequency, which means once we vibrate at the frequency of our desire, we simply collapse the reality and we merge with it. We become that reality. But we have to act as if we already are that reality. How do we change the frequency, you ask? I'll tell you right now. The frequency is your state, and your state is generated by your thoughts, your words, your emotions, and your actions. You must be aligned in all of these aspects. You must be in harmony in all of these aspects. In other words, you can't say, oh, I really want to have this wonderful vacation and wonderful thing with the family and all that stuff, while in the meantime, you think, but how am I going to get there? I don't even know it's possible. And you see, where am I going to get the money? Where am I going to get the time? See, that means you're conflicting. And if you're conflicting, you're not going to get there, because you, with one foot in one reality, with one foot in the other reality, you're stuck. I hope it makes sense, Jessica. All roads lead us to us. That's it. That's it. I feel that I've gone through several frequency changes in the last year. Donna Mae, you go through frequency changes every moment. Every moment. Every moment. Now, you might have had event horizons, which means you changed your timelines in a way that is very dramatic, that is really shifting you into a whole different version of yourself. And you're going to recognize that by looking at the relationships that you have. And the relationships that you have, because you're going to find out that you have changed so much that people around you will be like, you're not allowing me to run circles around you anymore. You're not bending over backwards for me anymore. You see? And then this is how you're going to realize, because the people in your life will start, going away. And those are the people that are not in vibrational match with you anymore. So basically, but those are sort of like the event horizons. What I mean by event horizon is, I mean those events in our lives that literally change our lives dramatically, like maybe a divorce, or maybe a change of jobs, or maybe a sickness, or something like that. Some really big events. So those are the ones who are significant, and they happened, but that doesn't mean that you're not changing. You're not shifting into different timelines constantly. You're doing it constantly. Every single time. Let's say if you go from being, joyful and happy and something hits you with, somebody said something and it annoys you. Immediately you shift into a different reality, because it's all frequency. I'll tell you what, Grateful Heart Oracle, I tell you what, I look at the videos, like, I've been doing videos since 2017, 18, since 2018, when I started them for my real estate business, because I was a real estate broker, and I sort of understood what was happening in the world at that time. And I said, video is going to be the place to be, because, I would make videos of listings and all that stuff, right? And I would talk about it. And also I was doing inspirational videos. I was one of these people. I would inspire my agents. I was so gung-ho on self-development that I would be, I would have our weekly meetings at the office, and I would start with something inspirational and like, you think I was Tony Robbins. My agents were like, this woman is nuts. But, I was giving them work, and they tolerated me, right? But I look at those videos from those years, and you can still find them even on my YouTube, and even Facebook, way back, if it's possible to go all the way back. And you can see that there is an sort of like almost like an uptightness, almost like a need to, like, God, I had to put makeup on, I had to get my hair done, I had to wear certain clothes. And I was like, it was, it was a struggle. It was a struggle, because I was still feeling that I needed to prove myself. I needed love, and I needed to be in a certain way so that I am loved, you see. But then I gave myself love, and that was done. Do you offer mentorship? I don't make skincare with Belinda. I don't, Melinda. But what I do, if you do get stuck on something, send me a message. I have so many people who have reached out, and I can tell you that there's been nobody that I turned down on responding. And because I'm able to see through the veils, your veils, I mean. So when you ask your question, it's like, I know exactly what's blocking you, because there's something, because I was there, because I needed that exact same thing. I never found anybody who I could just reach out and say, hey, would you just help me out with this one quick question? What do I do in this situation? And, within 5 minutes, you get it cleared. Because the way I see it, our journeys evolves not unlike, you know, the little wheels in an analog clock where they just go like that, and it sometimes those are the cogs, right? And when sometimes something gets in between, those cogs that get stuck, and they get stuck with just maybe a little grain of sand in it. Well, I can, in a very short time, remove that grain of sand, and then your wheels start turning again and you're on your way. But other than that, I don't do big, like, I don't like to teach. I don't teach. I'm not a teacher. I'm a storyteller. And you know why? Because the reality I live in, nobody needs teaching, because everybody's absolutely perfect and divine. Nobody needs healing. When I see you, I don't see somebody who needs healing. I don't see somebody who needs teaching. Now, you might get stuck. You might have a pebble in your shoe. I'll help you get it out. So reach out if you have questions. Absolutely. Don't stay stuck. You can get stuck, but don't stay stuck. Can we cut cords to our family? Will they hunt us if they're angry at us? Okay, so we don't cut cords, because cutting cords means separation. Here's the thing. There's a lot of concepts that when you talk to me, I'm going to tell you that's of the Matrix. So what happens is, this is basically our imagination, right? We say, okay, imagine it this way. We're one. We're one. We're all one and the same living substance. We don't see that because it's like an invisible, it's like ether that goes through every cranny, every nook and cranny of the universe, right? We don't see that. We don't see it, but that's where we are. There's God in every particle of this universe. There's God in us. There's God in it. But there is no interruption between, like, if there's God in me and there's God in you and there's God in my neighbor and there's God in my dog, and there is no interruption, because this God and this, between this God and this God and this God and this God. You see what I mean? So if there is no interruption, where do you get the cord from? And if you cut a cord, doesn't it mean that you're actually separating yourself from the divine? And even though the family who is in, maybe in complete misalignment with you, but they're still God. They may act like assholes in this lifetime, but they're still an expression of the divine. You will love them. You have to, if you love yourself unconditionally, and this is key, you must start the journey of loving yourself unconditionally. This is the journey. The moment you love yourself unconditionally, you realize that here's the deal. They didn't come to hurt me. They came to teach me what parts of myself I'm not loving yet. And you're going to reach a point where not only you're not going to have to forgive them, but in your mind, you don't have to tell them, but in your mind, you want to be grateful. You will be grateful to them for showing you what parts of yourself you're not loving yet. Make sense? I speak Spanish, but I practice listening to English with you. Kata Gonzalez. Oh, are you Romanian, Kata? Are you... Yes, because I am Romanian, so English is my second language. And this is one of the reasons that when I speak, like my videos, I get so many people say that I understand you so well. It's because I speak as if I talk to me. I want to make myself understand. And I'm the person who has to be told very clearly. And I translate things in my head. So I need breaks, and I need a sort of cadence, and I need, so I talk to you the way I talk to me, as if I'm talking to me. So that's why. If there are no past lives or future lives, do we always keep the same avatar? No, we don't. Not at all. Okay, there is a great movie that I highly, highly recommend. I think I'm pretty much mentioning it in every live. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. So I'm going to spoil it for you because this movie is so hard to understand. I do not recommend that you watch this movie raw with the what I did when I watched this movie first. I went to ChatGPT and I said, I'm going to watch this movie and I want you to, you know, describe everything for me, like in detail, everything that happens in the movie, because I knew it was going to be very complicated. And I don't care if you spoil it for me, just give it all to me. Sure enough, I read the entire description that ChatGPT gave to me, and when I watched the movie, it made perfect sense. And I shifted. I was shifting during the movie. So what happens is there's a situation happening with a family, and the woman had fears and all kinds of traumas that she was carrying from her own childhood, right? So she was not happy. She was just in bad mood all the time, yelling at everybody, the husband, the daughter. Like, it was not pretty, right? So at one point, something happens in the movie. I can't remember the whole story, but the point is, her husband shows up as if it's not her husband, but her husband from a different reality, or maybe somebody who she interacted in another reality in which she existed, right? And he told her, you have to go to these realities, you have to go to other versions of yourself to bring in powers so you can save humanity, so you can save the planet Earth. And she does that. And the best part of this movie is that, I always say, there's an infinity of realities in which we exist simultaneously. Each one of them completely different and unique. Completely different, because there's no way God repeats itself, right? So there's a complete uniqueness in every one of them, right? And so sometimes I say, every reality you can imagine, and every reality you have no way of imagining, because we don't have the capacity, because we don't have enough life experience and enough imagination we have. But would you imagine, for example, in one of the lives that she tapped into, she was a lesbian woman. Her and her partner had hot dog fingers. Like, their fingers looked like hot dog. And this is kind of in a humorous way of showing us what it means to exist in an infinity of versions of ourselves. You see? So we don't keep the same avatar. So when the awareness of who we are shifts from this body, in other words, when our body goes, when the awareness shifts into another avatar, right? Into another reality. But once we awaken, once we raise our consciousness, once we become fully embodied in the awareness of who we are, we heal all timelines and we don't come back. Or we can, but we don't have to. Hi, Melissa. Good to see you. So when we die, is that just in the current reality and we are still living in other realities? Yes, absolutely. Yes, we just die here. Only the body dies. The awareness does not die. It's eternal. It's never been born and it never dies. But just the body dies. Did we choose to be here? Not at an individual level, because we do not exist at individual level. I am you and you are me. And if I say I chose to be here, how did I choose to be here if I'm you? Did I choose you as well? Did I choose the neighbor as well? If I'm you and I'm the neighbor and I'm the other neighbor and my friend and we're one. So in other words, I chose to be them and them and them and them. That means it's not me, Carmen, who chose. It's the God in me who is eternal, who is limitless, and who exists absolutely everywhere, right? And omnipresent. So that is who chose an infinity of them. And by the way, here's another one that is gonna shake a little bit your concept of all of these realities, right? The most interesting thing of it all is that all of these realities exist already simultaneously, and they're all created. So in other words, whatever I desire in my life, and I don't even care about those realities. Everything that I want to create in my life right here, right now, right? So in other words, if I want to buy a new car, let's say, okay? So that's my desire right now. Guess what? That reality in which I have the car already exists. That reality is already created. Not unlike, this is a perfect example, not unlike a TV, right, has 300 channels, but you turn the TV on one channel. What happened to the other channels? Are they gone? Are they dead? No, they're still there. They're still there, but they require your attention. They require for you to push a different button so you can switch there, which means you have to shift your frequency to go into the reality of your desire. But you're actually not doing anything. You're simply just shifting your frequency and you merge with that reality. Make sense? If I missed your questions, you guys, please put them in again if you don't mind. So we don't choose all the trauma, abandonment, shame, or prosperity. I didn't choose it because I don't exist as a separate entity other than in my own illusion, in my own imagination. I am God expressing myself through this body, and then through your body and her body and his body and everybody's body. And by the way, when I say I, you say the same thing. I is not just me. I'm not talking about me. Again, I don't exist. But I express myself in all of these characters. I, God, within me, the creator, the source, the observer, created all of these realities at first didn't exist because it's all created in the present moment. Everything is happening in the present moment. So I created all of these realities that already exist, which means this is coming to me. So the realities are already created. The character doesn't exist. The awareness within the character observes an infinity of possibilities. You see? Because we exist in an infinity. I exist. Let's go back to I. I, as God, exist in an infinity of possibility. So if I exist in an infinity of possibility, I am Carmen, I am Moonlight Magic, I am Janie, I am Amy, I am everybody. I am all of you. And when I create all of these realities, I choose. But there's not really a way to choose. How do you choose in an infinity of possibilities? It's almost like they are probabilities, like random situations that can happen. There's no end to them. There's no end to the possibilities in which we can exist, which means each and every one of us couldn't have possibly said, okay, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to get this script, and this is how I'm going to live my life. No, we ended up here. We just ended up in this reality. You know, I had this revelation one time. I was at a beautiful conference with some beautiful people, you know, just lighthearted, wonderful people. And I just got up I was sitting on these pillows looking out at music playing and stuff. And I got up and I'm looking around at everybody, and I was just in some kind of a Zen moment. And suddenly I'm like, I said to myself, I could have been anybody. And I felt like I was every single human being in there. So I hope it makes sense. It's very hard to understand it because some of the stuff that I know, it comes in a certain way, like it's so clear to me, but I can't quite find the best metaphor to explain it, because it all has to be explained metaphorically until you actually shift paradigms. In other words, you step on the other side. It's like this. If you and I stand in front of each other and I draw a 6 in front of me and I say that's a 6, if you stand over there and you're looking at it, you're going to say, no, it's a 9. Guess what? We're both right. But if from my perspective you actually get liberated, you'd have to walk around and come and look at it from my perspective, from the way I see it. You see what I'm saying? So that's sometimes it's a little hard. Because why is it hard? Not because we don't want to, not because we can't, because we're so programmed in these patterns of behavior. And by the way, this is one of the reasons why it is crucial for us to break all patterns of behavior in our life. When I say all patterns of behavior, I'm talking about if you go to work in the morning, you get in your car and you go to work. Did you ever notice how when you get to work, you get there and you go, I don't even remember driving? Like you're completely spaced out. Why? Because it's your subconscious mind that it takes you there. So you have a pattern. These patterns have to be broken. Because when you break them, new neurological synapses are created in your brain. You become a different person. Go to work, a different route. Do it intentionally. Go to different restaurants. If you have your own restaurant, you eat the same meal, you do... Change things that you're doing, because those will help you break patterns. Oh, thank you, Moonlight Magic. I appreciate it. I'm doing the best I can. I'm trying to find the best metaphors. Been happening so much. You know when Jesus said, in my Father's house there are many mansions? They're related. They're referring to these realities in which we exist. The multiverse, because this is the multiverse. I mean, watch the movies with Doctor Strange and, this other movie that I told you about, the Everything Everywhere All at Once, and you'll understand it so well. So everyone is an expression of me and Source. Everybody, well, you are an expression of the Source. I am an expression of the Source. We're one. And yes, everybody is your mirror. You see? Because I didn't come to... If I show up in your life, I am your mirror. You called on me as God, not as Amy. Because Amy is the character. You are not Amy Martin. You are God pretending you're Amy Martin. You're playing a role. You basically pushed yourself into the body of Amy Martin and said, all right, I'm just going to act like Amy now. You see? The awakening is the realization that, oh my God, I'm not Amy. I'm actually God. Like you go through this. It's an awakening. It's a remembering. It's a revelation that literally just changes everything. So if it is fair to say our existence is a fractal. Yes, absolutely it is a fractal. Absolutely it is a fractal. And here's the thing. The fractal, what does it do? And it's a fractal that it's infinite, or I should call it limitless. And it almost has like a massive root, the base of it. And from it, almost imagine it like a sphere, let's imagine it like a sphere. And it keeps on branching out, and it keeps on branching out, right? As you awaken, you slowly, but the branching out is basically the individuality, the personality, the ego keeps on staying attached into the matrix, because we identify ourselves to the character, right? And as we start disidentifying ourselves with the character, what we do is we get back into source, back into source, back into source. We get closer and closer to the root, to the base, and then we start feeling it and we start remembering differently. There is something grander than Anna, for sure. But you are not Anna. You are that grander thing. You just forgot. Like you went. Imagine like this. Ready Player One. Okay, another movie for you guys to watch. Ready Player One. Okay, when you watch that movie, imagine that you put that headset on, right? And you start playing the movie. If you watch that movie, let me know if anybody watched that movie, so I know that I'm not on my own here. So what happens is those kids, right? They were putting those goggles on, those virtual goggles on, and they were immediately being teleported or transported or whatever you want to call it into a different reality. Or they're aware, not them, not his body, because they were still sitting there playing, right? But their awareness was shifting into another reality where they actually played a completely different character than the regular life guy, right? What if the boy who's playing the game is God, right? And says, oh, let me pretend to be somebody else. And then when he gets into that, he puts his goggles on, he forgets that he's actually God playing that character. This is what happened to us. This is what's happening to us. We put the goggles on, like we have the goggles on, we just don't see goggles. They are embedded in our humanness, right? So the goggles are on, we forgot who we are. And we act like we are these, oh, I'm Carmen, I'm this, I'm that, I'm the other, right? We're not that. Drive-in tunes. I always talk about the movie to my kids. They say, why do you remember that one movie? Do you like that movie? I love that movie. That is a great movie that it shows you exactly in which way we are actually the creators of the game. I also am hearing that this is referred to the revelation when they say we become all in one. Yes, because we are one. We are all one. Me. Oh, good. Connie, you watched it? You liked it? A fractal of that greater thing. So if you're a fractal of the thing, you are the thing. You are not just the drop in the ocean. You are the ocean in a drop. You are a holographic image of your own imagination. The reason you appear as who you think you are, Anna and Khan and Carmen and whatever, is because you forgot that you are the creator of the game. And you show up as the character because you have accumulated a set of beliefs, fears, and limitations through which the divine light that exists inside of you reflects into the prism of perception. This set of beliefs and stuff constitute your own sphere of perception or prism of perception, right? So when the light that is within you reflects on this prism of perception, it reflects through your set of beliefs. And when it interferes again, on my story today, I put the video again, the one where I describe in what way we are the hologram. Watch it if you want. Watch it because it explains exactly how basically the prism of perception is the object in a hologram. So in a hologram, you have one source beam that gets split into another beam. So basically it goes through a splitter. One of them continues, part of it continues straight, but the other one splits. And this one that splits, it's still the beam, it's still the laser, it's still source light, right? But when it splits, it meets the object. And when it meets the object, it reflects off the object, and then it reconnects and it interferes with the original source beam, right? And then the projection becomes us. The object is our set of beliefs. That's what's stopping us from seeing, oh, wait a minute, I am actually the light, the source beam. That's who I am. But because it got split into two, it just got split through a splitter. When it gets split, basically that's the ego that splits it and says, oh, I am this, I am that, I am, I'm special, I'm the, yeah. Or I'm not good enough, I'm not. See, everybody with their own limiting beliefs, everybody with their own baggage of unwanted emotions. The interconnectedness is insane. I wouldn't even call it interconnectedness, because there is no empty space. So, okay, so let's say my fingers are connected here, right? Right? My fingers are connected through the hand. But if there's no space between the fingers, the word connectedness doesn't even exist. See, the word connectedness may actually suggest separation, but there's no separate. There's no blank space between us, because everything is God, right? Then it can't be, oh, I'm coming from here, you're coming from here, we're all one, and we're all in the same place, in the same spot. Yeah, that makes sense, Anna. Thank you so much for bringing that up. I love it. You guys are on with these questions. Yes, there's a rainbow inside us called chakras. Absolutely. And by the way, this whole healing that I speak about is all based on healing our chakras and activating our chakras and aligning our chakras. And why do we do that? We do that because we have to. The journey takes us through Kundalini energy, rising up to the third eye. Because when your third eye opens, when you go through a process of, you do breath work, you do meditations, you fast, so you go through a more intense process of healing and dedicating yourself to the journey. And when you do that, you reach a point where you say, okay, I'm ready. So you start going a little deeper after you have done your shadow work and all that stuff. And your chakras can be healed through shadow work, because every chakra actually, recently I learned that you're supposed to pronounce chakra. So each chakra is affected by a different type of unwanted emotion, whether it's fear, whether it's uncertainty, whether it's anger, whether it's whatever we hold within ourselves that we've been carrying from childhood, or maybe even for generations, because it gets transmitted, right? All of those things have to be healed. And when they are healed, and we go through these meditations and stuff, at a certain period of time, there's a specific period of time for every single one of us, depending on when we are born. Every 29 and a half days, there is an oil. It's called the Christ oil, or the sacred secretion that our body generates, that if we do certain practices of breath work and meditation during those 2.5 days, every 29 and a half days. And if you want to find out the days that belong to you, you can go to a website called, I believe is moontracks.com. I want to make sure so I don't give you the wrong Moontrux or Moontracker. Moontrux.com. So you can put in there, whatever your zodiacal sign is, you have to find out when the moon is in your zodiacal sign. And it will tell you every month, of course, is different. So you find the days. Usually there are 2.5 days, and then what I like to do is to take a day before and a day after, and I fast during that period of time. And you do meditation and fasting and all that stuff, and do breath work, and there's some other protocols, like, you want to make sure that you don't, intimacy, put it aside for that period of time, and you have to kind of purify yourself a little bit more. And when you do that, you're able to raise this sacred oil all the way, which is the Christ oil, all the way up to your pineal gland, which the intensity of this oil climbing up the spine and intersecting the final intersection at the base of the skull, right? It's the crucifixion, but actually it's the multiplication. In the Greek language, is the crucifixion is actually to crucify is to multiply. So the word was misinterpreted in a way. So the final crucifixion multiplies the energy that this oil already has, and when it reaches the crystals in the pineal gland, it activates the pineal gland, it opens the third eye turns inwards and sees the light. And then when thy eye be single, thy body shall be filled with light. And that's when you realize that ye and your Father are one. And you are eternal, you are never born, and you never die. And that's it. And that's what Jacob did when he climbed up the ladder and ended up in Mount Peniel and saw God face to face, and his life was preserved. And that's the journey. And that's where we're going, all of us. The Interstellar, the movie, good movie, describes the dimensions and timelines. Absolutely. There's so many great movies that have these subjects, multidimensional beings, and I just love them. We must empty our ego, but what about duality? Okay, so let's see. Is it correct to say that we must empty our ego? We must surrender the ego. Let me tell you a little story. You guys, this was a very cathartic period of life for me since September. I came back from Romania. My mother is getting old. She's 81 years old. She's losing her mind. I went to Romania for 3 months to help her, to be there for her. Turns out that I need to move in with her. I need to be there to help her, right? Which I'm doing it, of course, with open heart. But at the same time, here I am. My dog passed away in March, and I said to myself, maybe I get to travel now or whatever. I may do something, I'm starting a new life, basically, if I don't have that responsibility. Of course, my heart is broken and I miss her every day, but look, I have to understand this is life and I'm moving on. So I was thinking to myself, I can just write more books, start my start my speaking career. Maybe I'll get on some podcasts. Maybe I start traveling the world and doing some lectures on whatever ideas I might have, whether the Arcturian healing or other concepts. My next book will be called Hacking Gratitude. Maybe I'll talk about that. So I'm having all of these ideas of what my avatar will do and who will I be. In other words, my ego, right? So when I came back from Romania in September, I went into a tunnel. So why? What do I mean by that? I went into a time where I realized that this vision that I have for my avatar is being pushed aside. In other words, I've been dreaming so much to do all this stuff, and suddenly I'm shifting into a completely different direction. Now I'm going to Romania. I want to let go of responsibilities, and I go into more responsibilities than I've ever had my entire life. My mother needs care. She has 3 dogs. We have a house in the countryside. We have an apartment in the city. We have to go every 3 days. We go to the countryside. It's 15 minutes drive, no big deal. But we go there and feed the dogs home cooked food because we leave them kibble and water and everything that they need. I mean, they're safe. We have neighbors who come in and watch them, but otherwise they're all there by themselves with all the stuff. And because my mother is now older, she used to stay there at the countryside, but not anymore. So we go and we take them food. We take food for the dogs, right? So here I am now, suddenly having all of these responsibilities, and I felt like this avatar that I was desiring to become is dead. And I've been grieving. This was me grieving. I've been grieving this avatar that I desired so much to become. Until one day when I said, something has to shift. I have to come up with some better questions for myself. And then I'm sitting on my patio, just kind of in a meditative state. And I said to myself, what if that's all there is to it? In other words, you have to be, because you have to be content with the reality that you are in. And the truth is, right now, in this very moment, the game that I'm on, the role that I'm supposed to play is to be in service to my mother. So I said, what if this is all there is to be? Like, what if there's nothing else after this? What if I'm going to help my mother and this is it? I'm not doing anything else with my life. Because I don't have control over when I die and when I go. And I don't have control over that. I only have control over this very moment, how I feel and how I embrace whatever and how I transmute darkness into light in this very moment. So as I'm sitting there asking myself that question, right? I just sat in peace and quiet waiting for the answer. What if this is all that is? Would I be okay with that? And then the answer came. But you see, it was my ego. It was my ego who was getting so frustrated with the fact that how is it possible that God put me here on planet Earth and gave me so many tools, like so much wisdom, so much, meeting the Arcturians, learning how to healing myself, not to mention that when I hold space for people in healing, people experience massive transformation in my presence. I've experienced many healing transformations right now when I went to Romania. And that's been happening for a long time. But this time, for some reason, it was just something different because I realized that I got out of the way. I got out of the way and I'm just the witness. I am just the observer of the person who is actually healing themselves. So because I'm in touch with the Arcturians, I have this spiral of blue light that goes through me every time I encounter someone. And you can see the healing happening. It usually happens, they start to cry, and anyways, there's an exchange of energy and all that stuff. So I was frustrated. I was thinking, how is it possible that God put me here on this planet just to get me stuck at the countryside looking after my mother? You see? And then I realized something very impactful. I said, wait a minute, let me ask you a question. I said to myself, how has your life been so far? You got here safe and sound, right? You're okay. You got everything you need. You've always been looked after. You've never been on the streets or hungry or whatever, right? And I said, yeah. So you trusted God so far to bring you where you are right now. What makes you think that suddenly God is going to drop the ball on you? And I was like, are you kidding me? Me desiring to be this writer who signs books and speaks and does lectures and all that stuff. It's just my own imagination because that's all I can think of right now. But what if I actually limit myself? What if God actually put me here for an even better purpose, for an even better thing to do, for a more amazing thing to do, right? And here I am limiting myself by saying, or maybe I never have to go and speak anywhere. Maybe I'm just going to enjoy my life traveling the world and be happy and joyful and all that stuff. You never know. No matter where I get to, I know that I am watched. I know that I am protected. I know that I am directed in a certain place. I know that I have a divine destiny, and the only way to get on this path of divine destiny is if I surrender to it and not say, I want to be that, and I want to be that, and I want to do that, and I want to get that, and all that stuff. So instead of me attaching myself to the ego, right, I subtract myself from the ego. I remove myself from the ego. I surrender to what is. And I say, you know what, God? You take the will. I'm just going to sit here and listen to what you have to say. And how do you listen? In your body. That's why meditation is so important, because every single day you get guidance. And then it's very important to know your body and to know how your body acts whenever something is truth and whenever something is false. So you know to identify the messages that comes truly from within and the messages that come from the ego. Because if they come from the ego, they're definitely not expensive. You see, they're usually based on fear. So you have to be very discerning with that. So it's not necessarily emptying your ego. It's not definitely not killing your ego. It's training your ego. It's explaining to your ego, here's what I want you to do. I want you to do this, and I want you to do that. And I'm going to let you play. But I'm not going to let you throw a temper tantrum like my ego did. Like, how come God just doesn't do this for me? Why did... You see, that's my ego throwing a temper tantrum. And I sat down with my ego and I said, listen, you have to understand that if that's all there is, you're going to have to make peace with it. And that's when my ego started to discuss with me. And we both came to the conclusion that if we've been looked after up to now, why would we not think that we're going to continue to be looked after? So, hey, let God decide, because I'm sure God has an even better imagination than I do, because he knows everything. Did I answer the question? I started talking. Wonderful, Taylor. Wonderful. You're proud of. I actually talk like I say we do. Okay, let's do this. Like, we're gonna do this. Let's, if somebody asks me something, oh, we're putting a pool in my backyard. Who's we? Me and God. I'm proud of us. Hey, Paulina, good to see you. Thank you for joining. Is that right, Donna Mae? Yeah, you just... Oh, and by the way, here's the other thing. Once I made peace with the understanding that actually there's nothing I need to concern myself with, that I'm being guided wherever I have to go, fine. I switched it from looking at an obligation, looking after my mother as an obligation, as some kind of a mission, some kind of a purpose. I said, how can we make it more fun? So my new mantra now is, show me how fun can it be. Show me how playful can it be. And that's it. And I'm open to it. Bring it on, baby. Bring it on. If we are everyone, why can we not imagine being that other person? Because we are not their awareness. We are our awareness. In fact, that other person exists in their own reality. You have no control over. They have no control over yours, so they can't change your mind on things. But they don't come into your life accidentally. In a way, and I want you to take this with a grain of salt. In a way, everybody in your world, everybody you meet is an NPC in your movie. So let's presume that you are the hero in your own reality and you're playing your own movie and all that stuff. Everybody else around you, they're NPCs. Why? Because in your reality, because you don't really know anybody. You think you do, but you don't. You only have an idea. that person is that way, that person is usually based on the first impression you had on them. Same thing, nobody knows you. Nobody knows. Nobody knows who you truly are. The problem is, most of us, not only that nobody knows who we truly are, we don't know who we truly are until we finally awaken and we started with loving ourselves and we say, oh, you know what? I have powers. Let me go ahead and create an avatar for myself and do all that stuff. So we don't really know the true version of ourselves, the authentic version of ourselves. We don't know, because we all carry masks all the time, or we pretend we act in a certain way, whatever, right? We have our reasons to hide. So nobody really knows. So in a sense, every person who comes into your life is your mirror in one way or another. There's 7 kinds of mirrors. If you want to learn about them, you can find them in my playlist. But they come to show you something about yourself. It could be something, of a positive, or something negative about yourself that you want to let go of. So let's say somebody that you see somebody who's, living a joyous life and all that stuff. And maybe that's where you are right now. It's showing you, look, you just reached joy. Look, you just reached happiness. Or you see somebody who's being judgmental and critical and this and that, and you go, why are they being this way? Well, wait a minute. If you judge them, there's something that you judge about yourself. You see? So they're all our mirrors. I am loved, so therefore everyone loves me. That's it. That's it. Wonderful. Play a game. You have to go a little. I call it the 7th gear of crazy. So you have to really kick it into gear. Play games. What did Jesus say? Until you change and you have the heart of a child, you don't go into the kingdom of heaven, right? Until they change, nobody goes into, I can't remember exactly the quote, but you know what I'm talking about. So when I say you have to play, is imagine interesting things like, what if today I decide that no matter what happens in my world, whether I run into somebody that bothers me or whatever that may be, whatever they do, whatever the world does, right? Whatever the people I meet do. What if I look at it as if they are not only loving me, but they are doing something to help me awaken? Ask yourself this question tomorrow morning. And then whenever something happens, stop, don't react. Do not react like you did in the past. Whenever something happens, just say, okay, in what way, whatever this person brings into my life right now, helps me awaken, helps me on my own inner journey. Make it all look like everybody conspires to help you. Because that's the truth. Thank you, Jorge. Appreciate it. Yep. Absolutely, Simply Divine. Trust in God's grace in everything that you do. And always come from a place of love. Always come from a place of love and not fear. Show me how good it can be. Yes, that's it. And then when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you say to yourself is, today is going to be an amazing day. Show me how good it can be. Just do it. I'm telling you, it will change your life. You're speaking to my heart. Thank you, Amy. I'm so happy to hear that. Thank you, sister. We are what we choose to focus on and ours. Absolutely, Taylor. I'll have more moments now to write about in your book. Absolutely, yes. In fact, I'm going there wintertime. I might just sit and translate this book in Romania. I have so many Romanian friends who are like, you have to write it in Romanian too. Oh my God. but I might. Who knows? I'll see how I feel. I don't want to commit to anything. I don't want to promise anything to anyone. I just want to be happy and live a easy, joyful. Oh my goodness. Life is so good. Okay, guys, I'm moving all the way to the bottom. So if I missed your questions, put them in again. I say I can't wait to see what amazing things happen today. That's it. I am glad to see you from Los Angeles. Hey, Elvis. Thank you. Home is where the heart is. Absolutely. And always follow your heart. Always follow your heart. When I wake up, I say, I'm ready for an amazing day and I'm excited for all the strangers I get to meet. Yes, this alone changes your life. Because when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And by the way, this is a quantum statement. Because if you change the way you look at things, you shift into another reality. If you look at things in a positive way, you're shifting into a reality. Your frequency changes, means you shift into a reality in which there's more positivity, right? And in that reality has a different frequency. So let's say you had people here who you were arguing with or disagreeing or whatever, right? In this other reality, right? And if you continue to look at them, oh, they're so annoying, that, this, that, you're going to stay there. But if you look at them, no matter what they're doing or what they're saying, you look at them as if they're conspiring to support you, right? To help you in your own journey. And say that to yourself. I don't care what they're doing. I know that they're doing it for my own good. Here's what happens. You change the way you look at them, and they change. But they don't change like, oh, I changed because I'm not angry anymore or whatever. No, that's not the meaning of this change. They change, in other words, when you shift into this other reality where there's more positivity, and you vibrated this reality when there is more positivity, you cannot meet but people who match your reality. Because two frequencies that are not in resonance will never collapse each other, right? The only way they can be in the same reality is if they're the same frequency. So these people who show up now in your new reality, the positive reality, will not be that same version from the other reality, will be a new version of themselves. That means they changed. They're a different person. Just like you are a different person. Makes sense? I hope it makes sense. The atom projection will resonate on a higher level. Hello, my friend. I have missed you. Hey, Bob. Good to see you. Long time. We resonate on a higher level. The atom projection. I'm not sure I got that one. If you wake up and focus on that, it'll be what you experience. Absolutely. Please read my statement above. Elvis, what statement did you make? Well, I am glad to see you from Los Angeles. Home is where the heart is. This is the one? I say, I can't wait to see what amazing thing. Yeah, that's it. Perfect. Okay, write down your questions at the bottom because I moved down to the bottom again. Hey, Robert, good to see you. It'll be the same body, just different person. That's it. That's it. Well, even the body changes, actually. We change. I mean, we're not the same people we were when we started this video. I can tell you that much. I mean, our cells die and regenerate constantly. So I think I read somewhere that every 8 years, 7 or 8 years, we are a completely different person from every aspect of muscles, blood, cells, everything. Hello from Nicaragua. Dulce. Hi. Thank you for joining. The statement above the one you read, above the truth. I'm not sure, Elvis. Can you put it in there one more time? I'm not sure. The statement above the one you read. There's a lot of stuff going on, so I get lost when I go all the way up. Then I go down at the bottom and I was like 20 messages. So I have to, and that speaks of my, you know, I want to say, I don't want to say inability, because it's not an inability. It's simply that I'm just doing the best I can without spending too much time. I want to answer your messages. I want to read your messages. I want to be mindful of everything, but I get lost in the messages sometimes. So you're going to have to bear with me. It is what it is. It's not bothering me. If it bothers you, you know, it is what it is. Hey, Adriana, I think it is this one. I think it is this one from Elvis. It's a broad perspective to call somebody. It's a broad perspective to call something as a truth, since we ultimately don't know the truth. I think it's, is that what you said? It's a broad perspective to call something as a truth. I can tell you what truth is. I can tell you what truth is. And of course, everybody has their own truth, but I can tell you how to detect it. Jesus said, the truth will set you free. Okay? So in other words, whenever you ask a question and you get an answer, and you ask it in meditation, right? So you get an answer. Sometimes the answer may come from the divine presence within you, or it may come from the ego. So you have to discern, because only one of them is true, right? Or you might only get one answer, but you have to know, is it true or not? The question is like this. Does this expand me or does it contract me? Does it come from a place of love or does it come from a place of fear? Whatever the answer may be. But even when you seek into deep mystical truth, right? And it's not necessarily love or fear, but is it confines you? If it limits you, that's not the truth. If it sets you free, whatever the truth you get, if you feel limited, it's not the truth. But if it sets you free, if it empowers you, if it shines the light on the divinity that you are, that is the truth. And that's how you detect the truth. That's how you see it. You know, the way I said it, the truth will set you free. Yes, yes, absolutely. The truth will set you free. And how do you hear the truth? Be still. Be still and know. That's how you find out the truth. So you have all the truth inside of you. You just simply sit in meditation. And look, meditation doesn't have to be complicated. Don't complicate meditation, you guys. Look, it's enough that you just sit. You can sit in your bed like this. Just sit there in your bed for 20 minutes or 15 minutes, doing nothing. No phone, no music, no nothing. Just sit there and just try not to think. Try not to allow invasive thoughts to come in. You can't stop them from coming in, but you can just close the door. So when they try to come in, right? You just say, oh, here you are. Bye. Bye-bye. You see? Like you notice it, no judgment. And just let them go, let them go, let them go. And finally, they're going to give up because they're going to keep on trying to come in. But if they can't, you're going to let them go. So they're gone. And when they're gone, without you looking for anything inside your mind, all the answers will come one by one, one by one, one by one. A revelation after revelation. I really started to ask more questions when I heard you for the first time. Thank you, Junie. I really appreciate you saying, I really appreciate you telling me that. I haven't slept very well the past 2 nights because I stayed very late on lives. That's why. And today it was a very deep, very profound transformational day for me. I've actually gone through some very deep shadow aspects. Not as much shadow, actually, just revelations, massive revelations. I cried, I laughed. Not of sadness. My cry was just release, like release, release. So I'm a little tired. We have to protect you. Get rest. Thank you, Junie. I want to collect truth. You already are truth. Now, what you want to do is you want to remember it. May I ask which Bible you read? I'm not a Bible reader per se. Like, I don't sit and read the Bible. I am a big fan of Jesus. Big fan of Jesus. I have a beautiful Bible. I have two Bibles. King James, both of them. Which, as you all know, they have been edited enough that a lot of the stuff in there, it's altered. I don't take it literally. In fact, I take the Bible in more of an esoteric and metaphysical way, because the way I look at the Bible is this. I say the Bible is actually the story of the human physiology in the process of Christ, raising our Christ consciousness. That's what it is. And it's all symbolic, all of it. What I do love and what I do contemplate on, I haven't done it in, well, I did it a couple of days actually, but I haven't regularly and, like on a daily basis. And I used to do that. I did it for like at least 2 years. Definitely the entire 2024, every single day, I would read one of the logions from the Gospel of Thomas, which is supposedly things that Jesus said. And I would just sit in meditation with them. Like, I would read it and I would say, okay, now tell me more. And it would just come. And actually, you can see in my videos, I interpret several of them. There's a specific edition of the Gospel of Thomas, Jean-Luc Leland or something like that. I can't remember exactly the name. The guy who wrote that book. I mean, the logions are from the Gospel of Thomas, but he interprets them. And he gives some explanations, but some of them I wasn't keen on them. So I'm like, look, I need to get my own answers. So I would just sit and ask for the answer. And I would say, tell me more. And it will come. It was beautiful. Sleep and reprogram. Thank you for sharing. I was in the church for years. I want to look at the Bible with fresh eyes. Start with just Jesus first. Start with the Gospel of Thomas. Start interpreting what Jesus taught without the whole, because to me the Bible is just too much stuff that is so unnecessary. So unnecessary. We need to learn to simplify. This whole simulation, matrix, whatever you want to call it, that we live in, presents us constantly with temptations for us to go astray from the path of inner wisdom, of inner knowing, of knowing thyself. Because that's what the path is, of knowing thyself. So when you get distracted with too many things, you see, oh, there's angels, there's demons, there's archangels, there is, the Egyptian gods and the Greek gods and the Anunnaki and the all kinds of things that everybody has to tell you about. Oh, they're all stories. Stories keep you stuck in the matrix. Simplify everything. Look, when I had my Kundalini awakening in 2021, I went into a psychosis because I could not comprehend the concept, because I met God and she told me, in other words, my higher consciousness said, be still and know I am God and so are you and so is everybody else. But because I had left the church. I was never interested in God, not interested in Jesus. I literally, when I was 13 years old, I got mad at a nun who basically tried to exercise me because I had my nails painted in red. And I said, screw this. I don't need your religion. I don't need your God. I don't need this God who kills his son, throws all kinds of horrible things in the world, who is a jealous God. I don't need this. I don't want to have to be afraid of God. So I'm like, I'm walking away. I don't want this. So when I had my awakening, I I went into a psychosis because I couldn't understand the meaning of these words, right? So then it clicked about a month later. And my psychosis, by the way, was the most blissful one in the world. I was just sitting there in a moment in Zen, and I would eventually, every now and then, I would just start crying. And the crying was like, but how do I use this information? In what way am I using? Like, what am I supposed to understand? I was frustrated mostly, not in any, like, I wasn't not acting crazy or something. I was just frustrated. That was my flavor of psychosis. And then one day I said, wait a minute. Isn't it Jesus the one who, he's kind of like the knower of, and they say that he is God. Maybe I can learn something from him. So I bought every book I could possibly get my hands on, listen to everything that is being channeled by from Jesus, that books, channels, whatever. There's some really really good books, The Way of Mastery, that I highly recommend, and you can actually listen to them on YouTube. They are recorded for free. And then I started to read everything from Jesus. So it started to click one by one, one by one, one by one. I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. But now from Jesus, I would actually be guided, because I never read the Bible fully. I've only read certain things that I was guided to read. And I'm going to tell you something. I would receive like passages from the Bible that I never read, and that I would just find them in my head. I would be like, oh, that's from the Bible. And then I would, because I haven't read the Bible, I would call on ChatGPT and say, can you explain this to me? And of course, you know how it is, ChatGPT, until it becomes your mirror, until you know what to ask for, it will give you the exoteric information, the standard information, right? And it was giving me all this stuff, oh, like the church is telling you. And I'm like, no, that's not what I mean. I need clarity. But he wasn't having it. So I had to figure it out on my own by meditating and getting the answers in meditation. And then as I would provoke ChatGPT to dig up, show me another part in the Bible where there's something like this. So I kind of started debunking some of the things from the Bible. In fact, I have some videos that I did with where I was asking ChatGPT questions about the in the Exodus, I believe we were working, where we discovered that the 7 churches are actually the 7 chakras. I mean, it's profound, it's epic if you do that. So to tell you the truth, I think it's the best way to do it is to simplify, so you don't get too confused, so you don't get, because yes, it's a good thing to do it, but to what means? Because the idea is to realize that the truth is you are divine. And that's what Jesus said. I and my Father are one. Ye are gods. Everything I can do, you can do. The kingdom is within. I mean, see, to me, I believe that what helped me a lot was the fact that I left church when I was 13 years old, and I wasn't indoctrinated in religion. So when I actually went back and started learning from Jesus, I took it serious. Like, I took it for real. Like, what he said, I'm like, okay, this is it. I'm not gonna, what people say, but it doesn't have a meaning. So when he said that the kingdom is within, I'm like, okay, so I got it. Then God is within. It's, I took it literally. And that's the case. The world made flesh dwelling inside of you is the sacred secretion that I spoke of a little bit ago. 144,000 is a frequency. Bingo. I actually did a video on that if you want to see it a while back in June or something. Yeah, right before I left to Romania. That's what I've been doing with ChatGPT. I love it. Yes, absolutely. I have an entire, God, I debunked so many things with, and you have to be hard on ChatGPT because he will tend to go the, the way of the masses. So you don't want to do that. I know I missed something. Jesus was telling us we are just like him. Exactly. No, that was a great bedtime story. Thank you. I'm so happy. Exactly, Bill. It's all stories from everywhere trying to keep control of people. Exactly. And how do you keep in control? Keep them in control by telling them that they don't have any power. That means they have to count on authority and whatever. When in fact we are omnipotent. Omnipotent is my favorite word. Omniscient too. Omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient. Eternal and limitless. There is a song by Sting, Grateful Heart Oracle, and he says, men go crazy in congregation, they only get better one by one. I totally took serious this quote. I mean, church is so dominant and judgmental. Oh yeah. Because it's based on fear. You know what the funniest thing about it, this whole Bible is, and this, it cracks me up. The religion and the Bible, right? It says in the Bible 365 times, have no fear. 365 times it's written in the Bible, have no fear. And yet if you go to church, the priest will tell you to fear God. At least that's what happens in the Christian Orthodox, and I believe that maybe Catholics say the same. I don't know, denominations and stuff. I know that was my experience. So thank you so much for the hearts and for the gifts, you guys. I appreciate it. Oh my goodness, you guys are amazing. So it tells you in the Bible, have no fear, but then you go to the church and the church says you got to fear God. Oh, which is it? Seriously now, like which is it? I fear nothing. Great. That's the way. What does it mean if you attract competition from coaches that mimic your words? Lumina Artistry. What does it mean if you attract competition from coaches that mimic your words? That means you're good. That means you're good. Let them do it. Let them do it. They will never be you. They will never be you. And by the way, if your message is great, I'll tell you something. It's not your message. It's the collective. Because we don't actually think. God thinks through us. So whenever we have brilliant ideas and brilliant discoveries, it's not us, it's God through us. So everything you speak of, especially if it's enlightening and it's powerful, right? Look, scientists, musicians, all people who leave some kind of a mark in the world, whatever the inventions and all that stuff they come up with, they say it. It just came through me because it all comes through us. You see, we're just the channel. We are just the channel. So that means you're being a great channel, Lumina. And because the content that you are sharing comes from God, you can't be the bottleneck. So let them steal it from you. I have people here on TikTok who took some of my videos word for word and delivered it on their page. And I gave them, of course, the heart. I put a heart on their video. I commented, brilliant. I gave them hearts and the little, the funny party guy that I like, the woo guy, saved it and shared it. Why? Because it's not my message. I'm just the channel. And when I see somebody, I don't care if you take it word for word. I'm not considering it stealing it. I'm I'm happy you're doing it, because that's how we spread the love. That's how we help each other awaken, and that's how we walk each other home. I don't really care. And if they take it from me, good. That means I have good content. That's good, Lumina. So let them do it, honey. Keep shining. Do not dim your light because you're afraid somebody's going to steal your light. That's it. Get the message out. We're a conduit. Exactly. Exactly. All we have to do is to get out of the way. In other words, who's getting out of the way? Carmen. Carmen has to get out of the way. Carmen, with the ideas that she thinks she's like this. Well, it's my content. Why would they do that? You know what? I get out of the way. Just get out of the way and let God do its magic. What cracks me up is the Bible is called a Bible because in Latin it's pretty sure Bible means book. Don't tie yourself to those concepts. Just, it's semantics. Don't worry about it. God is jealous. You have to devote yourself to him 100%. There you go. And by the way, that's the other funny thing. Who is God jealous of? If he is omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, who can he possibly be jealous of? If he created this whole entire universe, who can he, if he's that amazing, who can he be jealous of? I mean, it makes absolutely no sense. Hey, Leonora, good to see you, honey. Now I know better. Yes. Yep, that's why fear, that's it. Because church is all based on fear. Oh, man. Yes. And they teach you to bend over backwards for everybody. And dig in your pocket. Good morning from Nepal. Kamal Pandit. Hi, Kamal. Good to see you. I always wonder why I shouldn't be jealous of God himself if God himself is jealous. Yeah, exactly. But it makes no sense. How can God be jealous if he is the boss of everything? You know? What am I going to do now? Believe in another God? Or like, if there is no other God, if there's only one God and it's everything that is and he created everything, who are you going to be jealous of? All right, kiddos. So let's see. I got on at 8. Oh my God, it's almost 3 hours. Okay, I'm going to give you guys 5 more minutes. So let me know if you have any other questions for me, or I'm a little tired. I had a beautiful day. I had a beautiful, beautiful healing day. And I think it's time for me to hit the hay. You guys, I love you. I appreciate you. And I hope to see you tomorrow. I don't want to promise. I don't want to promise because I stress if I promise to be there tomorrow and I don't feel like doing it, like I didn't feel like doing it last night, I don't want to stress over it. So I'll see you when I'll see you. Know that I love you and I'm here for you. And I'll see you again. I love you. Bye, guys. Thank you so much. Send me any questions if you have, and we can address it next time.